Right, should be live. And Johanna, if you want to
Hooray.
hit record as well.
Thank you for the
Of
reminder.
course.
Here we go. Okay, wonderful. Hello, everyone. Welcome to WTF Spring Town Hall. This week's theme is theater bleeding to death? This is a question that we're going to ponder together with our amazing panelists and then everyone in our town hall forum all together tonight. So let me get us started by introducing myself and how this is all going to go. I am Johanna Maynard Edwards. I use she, her pronouns. For a brief visual description of me, I am a middle-aged white woman with gray / dark brown / pinky purple hair. My background is blurred, and I am wearing a soft, bright pink, cozy hoodie. And I am zooming in from the ancestral lands of the Tuscarora Nation of North Carolina, colonially known as Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm looking back at my outline to make sure I didn't forget anything. And before I bring it up to our panelists to introduce themselves and what they, how they exist as human beings and as people of the theater, I just want to share a few community agreements and that we hope that everyone in this space can help us uphold and agree to. So one, we are going to be speaking in draft and speaking only for ourselves. Or the way we often say that is speak from the I. So we're only speaking about our own experiences, and we are having an intimate, candid, informal conversation around our own experiences and nobody else's. And we value your experience too, which may be very different from mine. Okay. The next agreement is we're going to debate the idea, not the person. Much like what is happening in theater in the world today, it's very polarized experiences, just like everything else it seems that's happening in our world. So we're going to debate the idea, not the person. And finally, if harm occurs in this space, we will name it and we will work together to move towards repair. And I, as your facilitator this evening, am committed to working through any harm that occurs and that repair process to infinity. And I don't want to get sued by Disney and say beyond, but forever. So like harm might occur here in the space tonight, and we'll actively work to repair that harm and work towards resolution. If the harm is felt later after the fact, please reach out, and we still want to do that. We want to be in right relationship with you all the time. And for these community agreements, I want to give credit to many, 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 many of the organizers and justice workers in our field and beyond, including Tamania Garza, who's in the space with us tonight. And so this will be my way to pass it on to our panelists. And we'll go ahead and start with Tamania. Tamania, would you like to tell everyone a little bit about you?
Yes, thank you for that, Johanna. My name is Tamania Garza. One of the letters is my mother's maiden name, is why I included, because I am because she was and is. My pronouns are she, her, hers, ella. For the visual description, I am a 40-plus-year-old Mexican American woman. I have skin the color of sand. I have dark brown freckles. Behind me, I have a silk background covered in white and red roses. I'm wearing a black shirt with turquoise and orange flowers, turquoise earrings to honor my ancestors. And what else? I think there's, oh, and I have curly black hair. So That is me. I am here in part because I know Johanna through the Parent Artist Advocacy League, which is, even though parent is the name, we are a resource hub for theater caregivers. So that means people who care for the elders, people who care for people with disabilities, and people who care for kiddos. I personally am a member of the sandwich generation, so I care for a disabled elder and a kiddo. I don't see my kiddo's name or gender on screen, so I will call them Steven Universe at their request. I am a director and producer by trade. I am coming to you from the unceded lands of the Lenni Lenape, colonially known as Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm originally from Texas, and I think that informs a lot of how I practice in theater. I also do justice work, so that's always been very central to my work. And yeah, I think that's me. So should I popcorn it over to someone? All
Yes,
right,
please.
CJ. All right, CJ.
Period. Thank you. And thank you, Joanna, for holding this space. I'm CJ. My pronouns are they, them. I'm right now in Pelham, Alabama. I'm also local to Mobile, Alabama. That's Shawandasi, Tula Land and Magoski Creek. Visual description. I'm so glad that I'm loving this DJ focus, like already leaning in. Like, love that. I am a Black non-binary person. I'm wearing a Beyonce denim hat that says Cowboy Carter on it. I'm also rocking my Alekes as a Lukumi Abarisha, so just inviting my ancestors into this space as well. What do I do in theater? I'm a cultural organizer, director, and producer. I guess that's the trade. And right now, that looks like working in philanthropy with Third Wave Fund in the Sex Worker Giving Circle as a program associate, and also as the director of development and co-founder of Birmingham Black Repertory Theater Collective, which is how I ended up meeting Joanna not last year, not last year, a couple of weeks ago at the Southeastern Theater Conference, where we got to conspire in the first ever transgender non-conforming in theater committee meeting that we got to participate in together. So thank you again. And I guess I'm popcorning it to you, Tracy.
Hello, I am Tracy Barber. I live in Lexington, Kentucky, which is the unceded lands of the Cherokee, the Chickasaw, and the Shawnee. My visual description is I'm actually mixed race. My father's white, my mother is indigenous. So we are a member of the Sioux tribe of Chippewa Indians of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Which is a huge part of my identity and who I am. But I look like my father. I present as white, and I'm dressed all in black. I have dark hair, and I'm living in a very dark basement right now. Clearly a theater technician, obviously, right? Like the white face in the dark space. I am the costume director, at least for a little while longer, at the University of Kentucky. I'm also the president of the Kentucky Theater Association. I work freelance as a costume technician. I make clothing for other theater companies across the country, which I've been working on all this weekend. So I'm trying to think. My pronouns are she, her, and trying to think of what else. I rattled through things really quickly, and I think I dropped something. but I'm just really excited to be here and to have this conversation, because this is a conversation, particularly in academia, that we're having a lot. What is happening to theater? Because we have to answer that question for our students a lot, and that's a really difficult question when they say, "Why should we be theater majors? Why should we go into this field?" And that's a tough question to answer, right? CJ's laughing. They're laughing at me, but it's true. How do you like? The short answer is sometimes I'm like, don't, but then I can't say that because I feel like I feel like we can't say that, right? But I think I hit all the points. I talk very fast. I grew up in Michigan, so I'm definitely a northern Midwestern talk fast. So.
Yeah. Naming that all of these panelists are also amazing facilitators of conversations in their own right. So you feel free, like you're just getting to know each other. We're just getting in the groove, but y'all, you steer this as we go. This is I don't know what metaphor we need, but like there's no one captain that can put their hand on this wheel. And I think we're already getting there, right? So we asked a question this week, and we used some very theatrical, rich imagery of asking the question, is theater bleeding to death? And so it's evocative, right? Those are evocative words and a choice. With so my first question for our panel is for your kind of gut check, quick initial answer, like, do you think theater's bleeding? Do you think it's dying? Yes, no, maybe, sorta. I don't know. And like it's wherever you're falling in this spectrum, let's just locate that and talk about it. Anyone want to go first?
I'll go ahead and pop it off.
Do it.
I mean, well, yes, like it is definitely bleeding. I think what's really exciting though, and I think this is really coded for me as someone who has experience in the sex trade is how I'll frame that, lives with HIV, and also practices an African traditional religion where blood is a big element of that. And so it's not like I say yes, theater is bleeding, and like it is not something that it does not scare me. It does not frighten me. I get very excited about the blood that's coming from theater right now, because that means we get to the other side of something. So yeah, that's kind of like my initial gut response.
Ooh, is the blood letting? Ooh.
I actually think I agree. I think theater is definitely bleeding. I probably come from a more cynical space because I kind of feel like it's bleeding to death. And I think in some ways, while not entirely by its own hand, I think in some ways it's there's a lot of self-harm in the theater industry. I think it's difficult. There's a lot of cross purposes and there's a lot of discord. And I think that's frustrating sometimes because I think there's a lot of people that have really great ideas about where it can go and where it should go. And I think sometimes the voices aren't heard. I think the important voices sometimes aren't heard. So I think we're at a crossroads. I think people are leaving. I mean, at least in the costuming world, I feel like people are leaving the industry in droves because the money's not there to sustain your life and things like that. So I think there's a lot of, yes, I hope we get to the other side. I just hope there is another side, the other side from this, because this is the most frightened I've been in the 25 years that I've been in this industry. This is the most concerned I am because I'm considering leaving it, and I would have never thought of leaving it 20 years ago, 10 years ago. So yes, the short answer, yes.
Tamanya, how about you?
I think I agree, but to add to my response is as it should be. I think that anything is alive and anything is, breathing and changing and growing, is bleeding and has blood coursing through its veins. But I think also, to Tracy's point, there are a lot of incredibly harmful systems that have gone into making like what we, especially in this country, know as theater. And theater, the storytelling tradition belongs to all of us. So I don't think the storytelling tradition is going anywhere, but I think some of the really abusive practices that have forced a lot of people, especially people from historically marginalized communities, to subsidize the theater of people who are more privileged and to subsidize that harm with their blood, sweat, tears, lack of funds, lack of respect, lack of be able, need to hold many, many different careers just to have the honor and privilege to do this work. I think yes, I think it is. And I'm one of those, like, if it's not going to survive what it's in right now, it shouldn't. You know what I mean? I think there should be a shifting. I think there should be a learning. I think there should be a growing, and I think there should be an inclusion of perspectives of people who don't want to see it survive. I think we need both, because I think the people who have benefited thus far, as many of us know, could be widened greatly. Like, there could be a lot more people speaking into the space and a lot more people honoring who they are, even the way we tell stories. Like, I was having a conversation with students the other day about how linear storytelling is very colonized storytelling. So even just the types of stories we're telling and how we're telling them. I think that no, it shouldn't survive like it is now. Like let's shatter it. Let's come up with something better. And to honor what's been said here already, I think that, I'm really excited for what's coming next, because I think a lot of my favorite storytellers would have a lot more space if we reconsidered how we are doing things right now and who is suffering to make it possible.
Who is suffering? Who is suffering to make it possible? Yeah, like here I'm gonna speak from my eye on it, is that like I vacillate like daily, weekly, monthly, annually, lately, and the blood metaphor feels apt from my like feminist pro free bleeding movement uh feelings. And in this past week, like just these like incredible highs and incredible lows, and that feeling that like, oh my gosh, I'm bleeding out in service to an industry that I don't know that it should exist, and I don't know that I want to be a part of it anymore. And it's those incredible highs, like and when Tracy commented on my Facebook post, was that I had told a bunch of people how excited I was to go get my MFA in directing finally. I like got accepted to 2 programs. I really thought I was going to one, and I wound up turning them both down because the systems were not going to actually work for me as a person. And I feel like that's just a microcosm of what so many other people have been experiencing. So that's kind of my segue into like how we kind of, let's just go a little bit deeper and like, what are the characteristics of a bleeding industry, and what's I like this. Let's go on the like the good, like the blood, like the bloodletting, the blood sacrifice. What could that be too? That's really delicious to think about.
I think if you look at it from a cynical standpoint, again, here I am in the dark being
Yeah, let's
defensive.
get your dark, cynical technician,
dark
academia.
basement person. I think for me, it's been so frustrating because like when you talked about going to the MFA and having these great highs, and I've experienced that this year alone, just in my day job, as I like to call it. It's like we have this amazing, we do this amazing theater. We did a production of Fairview at UK that was phenomenal, and the students were invested, and the audience was sold out, and it was such a great high. And then it's like you turn around and you have just this like crushing blow, like a couple of weeks later, where it's like we can't afford a new sewing machine. And it's like, I can't, we're a research one institution, so that should help us, but it doesn't. And it's so hard because it's like, how am I supposed to get students excited about this? How am I supposed to get them excited about a career in theater when I'm not even that excited about it anymore? Right. And I don't know what to do. Like I can't lie to them. Right. And so I feel like sometimes then I distance myself because I don't want to be this like Debbie Downer that's telling them, don't do this. And, but it's like, but then they ask me what I'm doing. And it's like, I'm looking at going and getting an MBA. Like I'm looking at leaving theater entirely. So how do I tell a student and look them in the eye and say, oh no, this is a great career, when the salaries are not great. I mean, people aren't making a ton more than they were when I got into the industry 20 years ago. I mean, I speak from a technician's perspective, right? And it's like, and I don't like, if that's the bloodletting, is these people that are bleeding to like, because they can't afford, they're working for jobs. Like, Tamania said, it's like, you're working 3 or 4 jobs, side gigs, just to support this thing you're supposed to love. And I think for me, the greatest harm that was ever done to me in college 20 some years ago was when someone said, well, if you really love it, then you'll do it. And it's like, but not for $20,000 a year, which is what some places are paying. Like, it's just, and you think, how can a person put that out as an ad and then take it seriously, right? And expect us to take them seriously, and then they get mad because we call them out. And so it's like, that was 3 years ago, that was supposed to fix it, right? When COVID happened, that was supposed to be the big wake up, right? At least in the world of technicians and designers, this was going to be the big wake up call. This is going to be like, we're not going to stand for this anymore. I saw 3 ads last week for costume shop manager jobs that were less than $50,000 a year. And there's nowhere, I mean, I live in Kentucky. There's nowhere you can't afford that in Kentucky, right? So it's like, where and they're not in Kentucky. These are like East Coast, West Coast, expensive areas. And they're saying, oh, $53,000 for this job that's really 2 jobs. And I'm just thinking, what happened to that? Like, moment of like, we were in this deep, deep, dark time of COVID, and there was this light that was like, well, we were going to change how this looked. And here we are 3 years later. I'm like, wow, we're right back where we were. I feel like, and it's so frustrating because I'm having to look students in the eye and say, oh no, do this. If you really love it, you'll fight for the living wage or you won't do it. And I think that's the hardest thing to say because they do love it. And I don't want to destroy that, but it's like, I don't want them to be, I don't want them to be me, pushing 50 years old and being like, well, I can't move out of this house, even though I need a bigger house because I'm a sandwich generation too. My mother lives with me and my son lives with me. Like, I've got 2 generations living in my house, 3 generations living in my house if you count me. And I just, it's hard. And I don't know the answer, but it's like, when is the bloodletting going to actually make the change? Because I feel like I had that when all of us we rallied around each other during COVID and we supported each other and there's actors funds and everyone was, oh no, we're gonna bond together and we're gonna fix this. And here we are, and it doesn't feel different. And maybe that's just where I am, but I'm like, when does it get better? When?
Yeah. And so your perspective, Tracy, is from someone who like had a pathway into like a career in theater where like your primary job in theater supports your living. CJ and Tamanya, out of curiosity, does your wages that you make as theater people support your life now or in the past? And
Yeah, well, you said some really interesting stuff, Tracy, and I'd love to circle back to
do it.
that moment specifically in COVID, and all of those actions that came back, because that's juicy stuff. No, I actually to name, I left the sector. I left the theater sector as a founder and artistic director of a nonprofit theater company in Birmingham, and I went and moved to philanthropy because I was writing grants and I was realizing, oh, like this is someone's job. Like, and I really wanted to understand grant writing as a grassroots movement organizer. So I got a job in philanthropy and I've been doing that for the past year. I actually have not directed anything in the past 2 years because I refuse to work in the theater industrial complex entirely. I do not engage with it. And when I do engage with it, I do it on my own terms. And so no, theater does not pay my bills. But also, like, I wanted to circle back to like the question, is theater bleeding? Because theater itself, and Tamanya, you mentioned this, like theater itself, storytelling itself, she's doing great. She's having a great time right now in 2024. The theater industrial complex is dying. It's not this, she's bleeding. We have to keep stabbing her because she's got to go. I'm gonna shut up.
No, don't shut up.
Oh, I was saying, yeah, CJ, if I can actually ask a question, is it okay if I respond to some things you put into the comments? I'm also trying to like do comments and do that. But so in the comments, CJ says theater industrial complex. Also, yes to all the sparkles behind CJ right now. Gotta go, but also that means capitalism gotta go, but nobody when we abolitionists. So that's I think in great part, I would love to hear you talk more about that, CJ, but because that to me, that's the juicy stuff. Tying art, tying storytelling to capitalism is always going to be abusive because capitalism is abusive. And tying expertise and experience to things like MFAs and things like that is always going to be abusive. Look at what's going on at the colleges right now. These places of higher thinking, these places that teach you to challenge. Don't challenge too hard though. Don't step out too far though, because they will end you. They will throw you out of your dorm. They will take away. And that was something I experienced when I was in school in undergrad. And it was, I went to a small school, but like the second we stood out of line and we were in protest and we were just sort of having our voices heard, our scholarships were threatened, our housing was threatened, our food was threatened. And it was like, it was very eye-opening that as long as we tie success in theater to capitalism, like school, like who can afford school, things like that, it will always be abusive. It will always be destructive. So yes, and I agree, CJ, that like, and again, I would love to hear you more. This is me like pulling you into this conversation because I want to hear your thoughts on it. But like, yeah, storytelling is having, I think it's so interesting because like all those things that happened in COVID, I feel like they pushed us towards much more radical storytelling and like ownership of it. Like I want to see all these people on TikTok wearing a mop on their head, using a spoon as a microphone, because to me, that is getting back to the origin of storytelling. You don't need $40,000 to tell a story. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you've done the work that so many of us have done. And to answer your question, no, theater has not paid my bills. when I got my first theater job, which was a professional theater job, I was assisting all the directors at a theater in Philadelphia. I made $5,000 for the year. My second job, I made $10,000 for the year. I was making more at the coffee shop I worked at than I was making in theater. And that continues. That continues. So again, CJ, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. But like, yeah, abolitionism, liberation, things like that, they can't happen with capitalism. They can't happen in capitalism. They can't happen if school is gatekeeping who gets to speak. So yes, I keep stabbing, keep stabbing. It's got to go, because if we continue to pretend we can fix it from the inside, we will become tools of the oppression we're trying to avoid.
So we're in this, the end stage capitalism. It's going to be miserable. So how do okay, if we're going to stay in this field we love and try to keep doing this work we love, we have to get comfortable, I think, is what I'm hearing, with like the pain that is the death of capitalism and the death of
I mean, some
the
of
way.
us never benefited from capitalism. So I think some of us have been out here suffering for their entire lives. I think the people who have benefited from capitalism, have to be able to give over more of the share of the spotlight of the resources. And I don't mean, oh, I have $10, I'm going to donate $1. I mean, like, get out of the way so other people can get those resources and create resource systems that are collective, that are community based. Like, part of the reason theater is dying because everybody has to have their own chairs, everybody has to have their own building, everybody has to blah, 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 and like, that's not how the collective works. The collective finds out what we need, we get it, we all eat, instead of I have my own and it's the best. You'll never be able to storytell if you're out there chasing the next best chair, the next best building. And how many times has that been the demise of a theater? And again, like, tossing it back over to CJ, I know I keep talking, but like, I would love to hear more on your thoughts.
Oh, this is so juicy. I don't even know where to begin. I didn't know we was gonna be doing this up in here. Okay, so I think where it's like a good place to start is like what excites me, and I'll circle this back because I wanted to also talk about 2020, right? And what you brought up, Tracy, and what happened for me, how I experienced 2020 was, like you said, this upsurge in radical support for the art, especially marginalized community. We saw the We See You movement from I'm trying not to. Yeah, we saw the We See You movement. You know, we saw a lot of different stuff happen. But the gag was like people were asking for diversity, equity, and inclusion and representation. They weren't actually asking for anything to be undone. And so I think what people realize now is like, oh, we don't need DEI. We need racial justice, gender justice, and disability justice in this space. What, as someone who comes from a gender justice background, I get really frustrated seeing the way that diversity, equity, and inclusion is weaponized because it's just like it's gaslighting. It's all just gaslighting. Because what we're asking for requires rules to be broken. It requires people to be fired. It requires massive structural, not just change, overhaul. And that's not what DEI is at all aiming to do. And it's just like, as someone who operates from a base abolitionist framework, I'm just like, but I thought, like, I feel like I got on all these DEI committees and I was like, I thought we were here. I thought we were here to like do the thing. And I really had to like educate myself that they weren't. And actually, like, me being in the space was a level of that harm as well. Um, so yeah, and I think what was like really interesting about 2020 as well is like I really think that they like did it on purpose. Like I truly believe that white supremacy has a checklist in a room and everything is going to plan to what they say. And like literally they were like, all right, we've got the Broadway blacks making them think that we're gonna save them, bet. And we've got this community and okay, let's move a little bit of money and move a little bit of money. And I think that the reason why I always come at theater from a movement framework as well is just because I'm based in Birmingham, Alabama, and my family's from Birmingham, Alabama. And so the history attached with that, alongside the fact that I'm not going to name any names, but I am going to say this because it's being recorded and I want it to be known. There is a theater in our city that has comparable budget, a white-owned theater that has comparable budget to the Geffen Playhouse in California. The National Black Theater has 25% of that company's budget in Birmingham, Alabama per year, the biggest Black theater in the country. This same theater has funders and the builders of it that are also building Cop Cindy and funding the war in Palestine right now. And so when I talk about like the ways in which these recreated systems of oppressions and these nonprofits are so complicit in like the industrial, that's what makes it an industrial complex. When local theater is involved in global politic at scale, and folks don't even know what they're supporting. And so it becomes very personal for me. And I think that's just, again, the Birmingham in me. I'm always trying to turn up and throw something over. But it feels very personal in our immediate ecosystem, the way that this inequity shows up. And we see it not only through funding inequity and things like tangible resources, but also through like straight up discrimination, harm, like abuse. I have been doxxed online, like it's it's really baffling. But like you said, nobody to kind of like close out to my what you said, like nobody's focused on the collective. Everybody's trying to get there by themselves, and capitalism also breeds marginalized identities in a way to where we even think we can't have spaces like this. Like we think, oh, like, I need to be in my marginalization in my silo trying to get my people in or just me in, and nobody's focused on like a collective we. But that's carceral thinking for that ass. Like that's what capitalism
Yeah.
like ultimately does.
I mean, and that's part of the death, right? Because like it has to be intersectional. It has to be collective because it's not going to work in the silos. Ooh.
Well, and I think we have to give credit too to the people who got us here and who even made it possible to have these conversations. Overwhelmingly, it is people of these marginalized community, historically marginalized community, who have been robbed of every resource, robbed of every opportunity, who are threatened in every room they go into. And so many Black leaders have put themselves, their lives, their reputations on the line to do this collective work, even at great personal cost. So like also understanding that like we're not inventing anything, we are learning from those leaders, and we need to give credit to those theater leaders, to those, and thank you for naming CJL, the communities you're part of, because I had family who were very, very, very deeply impacted by the AIDS HIV community and continue to be. And the way that people came together when there were no resources. I was born in the 1980s and I am the same age as the AIDS epidemic. And the way that people who were robbed, who were starved, had absolutely nothing, so found a way to come together and protest and fight and act up and do all those things that needed to be done. Like we need to look back that too. We're not inventing this. We're taking from those movements and learning and growing, but we need to give credit. And also, and how many of our greatest liberators have been people who did sex work, have been people who supported the community, because that needed to be. There is no one else sometimes. And again, I'm not speaking from personal experience, so I'm not going to continue to, but like, thank you for naming that you're part of those communities, Sadie, because deeply, deeply what I have learned and what is most valuable in my justice work came from so many of those communities, because I'm people I love, we had to learn. Like that's how you learn when you have been so deeply starved of things, and that it's possible. That it's possible to be a collective.
I'm speechless, actually. Like taking that breath. So there's people who responded online with like, well, my theater company's doing just fine. We're selling out all of our houses. And like, I'm fine. I am fine doing my day job that pays my bills, and doing theater when I can afford it, and all of that. And like, I don't know, like how do we, what do you think? How do we make all these? I'm like, come tell us how you're selling all your tickets, please. If you have the secret.
CJ commented in the chat that I think is something that strikes the Stockholm syndrome idea. I think that's sort of what I touched on with the, if you love it, the number of times I was told over the years that I had to sort of unlearn that, well, if you love this, you'll work until 11 o'clock at night because we need 300 costumes by next Tuesday. So of course you're going to work 7 days a week and 14 hours a day because that's what you have to do. And because that's what needs to be done. The show must go on, right? It's like, and I think I got to a point where I was like, well, this is what I do. It's like, there's this concept of martyrdom too, right? It's like, well, this is what I do and I love it. And so it doesn't feel like work. And it's like, it always kind of felt like work to me, but I was told that that's what we were supposed to do. And it took a long time to sort of unlearn that. And it did involve leaving theater full time. I mean, I still work in theater in the sense that I work in academia, but it's not my full-time theater jobs never paid my bills. It's like I had to come into academia to get a salary that would let me have a family. So I think that's the difficulty is I think it's, yes, if you're happy having a day job and doing theater when you can, and you truly are happy, okay? And it is not my place to say, well, you shouldn't be happy, right? But I think if that's not what you want to do, those people have a right to be happy too, right? Though if you want to work full-time in theater and be able to only have that job and love what you do and do meaningful work, great. If you're happy producing nothing but musicals, great. Like, it's like I read an article about the Federal Theater in the New York Times just recently, and they talked about how before COVID, like 10% of the American population went to theater, but since COVID, it's dropped to 5%, and only like one in like 400 people or something see a non-musical play every year. Like something, I can't even remember the number. It's like, it was obscene. It was an obscene number that like don't even see plays anymore. They only see musicals. And it's like, I think that's why you see a lot of the successful theaters do that. This is a conversation that we have a lot in at UK is you do the big musical to make money and then you do the meaningful work, right? It's like, and I guess that's the way to do it. But at the same time, is that the best way to do it? I don't know. Like, I feel like the work should have meaning and should have purpose. And I'm drifting, but it's hard for me when it's like, if someone says, well, yeah, my theater does great. But I'd like to see what your season is, right? Because there's stuff that sells and there's stuff that doesn't sell. Look what happened to Oregon Shakespeare Festival when they completely right-turned their season, right? Up until then, they had done lots of old white men stuff, right? That's what they were known for. And then they brought in a new artistic director and they changed their thing. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, you guys, Oregon Shakespeare Festival might go under. Like they might happen. They need money. Because all of a sudden their audience was like, well, wait a second, this isn't what we want to watch, And so how do you create that balance? And I've been following them and finding it very interesting to see, can you just overturn the apple cart and survive? I don't know. Like, should we? Probably. Anyway, that's me drifting off.
And so we go back to capitalism. Why even is it that the thing that people who want to go to a particular place, who have a particular set of financial resources, get to dictate what cultural offerings get to exist in a community? They have the means and the money and the space and the this and the that, so they get to dictate what we all get.
Ooh, I'm thinking about this initial point you brought up, Joanna, and just like when people come to when I get to witness those people, it's just like I don't understand why anybody would be rooting about how successful they are under capitalism, like you said. But then I have to remember how sexy capitalism is, and how slavery never ended, and now it's just really hot to be a slave. You get an iPhone, we could be on Zoom. It's real cute. Capitalism's real cute and sexy now, so folks aren't as amped to like buck those systems. But something I had to like really concentrate on is like, because Tracy, what you're talking about is like decolonizing, right? Like, and that's another word that's really scary to folks. But I think like something for me when I first started in like the industry and like quote unquote DEI and like trying to like get in movement spaces more in art, I like was really outward in my decolonization. I thought everything around me needed to be decolonized. And as of recently, probably like the past couple of years, I've really had to remind myself that like, oh, me, CJ, my non-binary Black queer ass is also colonized and living in occupied territory right now. And that's non-linear, like consistent, just everyday work to undo. But again, what we're talking about here is not what the theater industrial complex is like at all trying to do. And so it's really annoying and like honestly like kind of frustrating to see a lot of language co-opted from movements like the AIDS rights movement and gender justice movement in spaces because y'all not really about that life. So don't say that. Because for me, it's not about it's meeting this industry now where it is when I choose to engage with it. Like I'm walking into every institution. I don't care if it's Black or white owned in this country. If I'm making money, getting a check during art, I'm approaching it the same way I did sex work. And I'm approaching it just like that because it's just like the transparency around it has to be more clear. You are going, this is harmful. This is a harmful interaction because you're paying me for my work that honestly, I don't know how y'all feel about y'all work, but my work, it really ain't got no price tag. So really every time you're paying me, you're underpaying me. And so if I'm choosing to make that, I need to be able to also accept it. If I know that there are some folks that they were in school and stuff, like I think there's an accountability that we have to take on ourselves with like decolonization. And if we choose to work in this industry, if we're naming it, we're saying it's bleeding and it's terrible and it's harmful, bet, but we still got to make our money. Girls got to eat, folks got kids. How can you meet the theater industrial complex in reality right now? Like that's something I'm really trying to answer for myself. So that I'm not gaslit or surprised when I'm sexually harassed or somebody misgenders me or just whatever happens. I'm prepared because I say, you know what, I wasn't even expecting you to do that. And it's not me not making you accountable for it, but it's like asking a slave owner, you just gonna walk up to a slave owner and say, I don't want to be a slave no more. And what would they say, and what would happen? So I'm really trying to just meet everything where it's at. Sorry, I know I rambled a lot. Shout out to us speaking in draft.
Yes, speaking in draft, and listen, I wrote down your quote, every time you're paying me, you're underpaying me, because to me, that's a tool that that's a solution right here, right now that we can use. Like, I'm going to be underpaid. Like, I know I'm entering into a contract where I'm being underpaid to do my art, but I'm going to do so that means I get to define the quality, the quantity, the everything about my art product and myself that's coming through it. I think that's powerful, CJ.
It's funny though too, because that's also, as someone who's been taking business classes, that's also a little bit of the capitalism, like what the market can bear, right? Like I talk all the time to coworkers in costuming because they'll say, well, I want to be paid if I'm going to be doing this, the draping work, for example, I want to be paid $30 an hour. Well, okay, but then is anyone going to hire you, right? Like what can the market bear? Like that's the sweet spot of like finding like how much money can I make doing my work, which I agree with CJ. Like I'm always being underpaid, right? So like how much can I make though that's still going to let the theater industrial complex hire me so I can work on the change and yet not be so high that they step away and go, no, we don't want you here. So I think that's the market, what can the market bear? And then finding that and then trying to push that ceiling. That's what I'm always telling people, like find that ceiling and then try to push a little bit higher, right? So
oh my God.
But right, like I'm trying. It doesn't always work, but it's like you have, it's like when because with what I do, with freelance work, you do a lot of bidding, right? Like you bid on the job, and so it's always like, where's that spot that's not going to be too much for the theater industrial complex, and yet give me enough that it's worth my time, or I can say I'm being underpaid, but at least this will pay some bills, right?
So another tool along that line is like constantly like checking the living wage calculator and like naming this
pushing
wage
it.
not a living wage.
You really liked what I did last year, right? How about if you pay me like 10% more?
This is actually the story of my week. I wasn't sure I was going to say it out into the world, but like I approached this idea of going back to get an MFA and ask questions like, on the scholarship assistantship, would it be enough for me to move and for my family to live at your school in your city? Oh, yes, yes. Yes, y'all. After weeks of working, of like working on that. Oh, yes, yes. It was $9,000 and no wiggle room. I was like, no, my family can't actually move to a
And
new
with that, of course, you can't have like a job too, right? Like that's one thing that always kills me with internships and with master's programs. It's like, yeah, you'll get this and we'll pay your tuition and we'll pay this, but then we'll also give you like $10,000 a year. And no, you can't really have another job because you have to be basically at our beck and calls to do our teaching, to work, in my case, to work in the shops. And it's like, well, but I can't. I mean, 20 years ago, there were internships I would have loved to have taken at top theaters in the country, and they were unpaid. I did not come from a family where I could live in Chicago on an internship that had no pay. Like there was like, and not be able to take a job because it's a 40-hour-a-week internship. Like it's just like great. I mean, you talk, there's privilege right there, right? Like it's, who can do that? Well, the kids whose parents have had money, the generational wealth, all that. Because I did not come from one of those families. I did not come from a family that could just like buy me an apartment in New York while I did my internship, right? Like, so my whole career was defined by that because I couldn't take those internships, even though I wanted them. And it's the same thing with grad programs. And it's obscene that like, okay, you only want to pay me 10,000, great, but then let me have another job. Like,
Yeah.
so that I can feed myself and give myself housing. And because $9,000, one person couldn't do that, let alone a family. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And you want me because I'm a 43-year-old person with this much experience in the field, and something that I've commiserated with CJ and Tamanya about in the past is like, they want us on the committees, yelling our EDI, like being that pain in the ass. Like, I feel like EDI princess coming on in just to like,
Well, I would argue they like the idea of that. But when you're actually there doing it, the number of times I've applied for a job and gotten a job and they're like, oh yeah, we just want a different voice in the room. We want new ideas. And then you come into the room first meeting, you're like, you guys wanted new ideas and different. And they're like, no, that's not how we do it here. Like, well, but.
And picture me trying to talk to a man, a white cis het man. I don't know if he was het. I didn't ask that question, but he was white and he was cis and he was younger than me. And he was the chair of a whole ass theater department. And I had to explain to him the emotional labor of being a mother. And no, I can't move to your city, go to school full time, work for you full time, and be able to manage some schedule for a job my husband has to get. And then I have to figure out for our autistic homeschooled child where he's going to be during all that time. Like that emotional labor is mine. And like, yeah. So yeah.
And then you'll do all the explaining, and then they'll be like, you'll do all the explaining, and then they'll be like, oh, well, I mean, then maybe this isn't a good fit for you. And it's like,
maybe you're too much of a pain in the ass anyway.
I'm sorry if my having a life is wrong, I guess. We're drifting.
Yeah, we are and we aren't, right?
Into like my personal job right now.
No, y'all are
we're on
drifting
Facebook
good.
Live and I cannot have that conversation.
I said it. Sorry if anyone from that program's listening, but this is how you impacted me if you want the feedback.
Exactly.
Okay. It like our community is ready to like in the forum are ready to hop in. How do we feel, panelists? Is there something else that we haven't said or fully surfaced?
Get on. I've been watching the chats. There's
The
lots
chat is
of
good.
great comments, and I wanna
The chat is good.
yeah, open the doors.
I
All
just want to
right.
name really quick that if I could just name really quick though, also assimilation is a tool of survival. So I think it is. I'm at a point in my career where I can speak and I can be upfront. There was many years where I was not, and where I was deeply harmed for trying. So like, I also want to say I'm not sitting here in judgment of anyone who is assimilating to survive, being in a system that's harmful to survive. Like that is how so many of us have had to get through it. But now that I'm in a place where I can speak, I'm trying to give voice to things that happened in that time when I couldn't speak, and in that time when I was part of a harmful oppressive system and I was being part of that system. So like, also I want to say that I don't want to just sit here like, if everyone hasn't just done all their work and isn't great now and isn't knowing all of the knowledge, you know, like that's not it either. It's a journey for all of us, and it's going to look different for all of us, and we can continue to learn. So like, also holding those people who are not yet safe, none of us truly are, but like holding those people who are incredibly unsafe at this moment too, like many of us have to assimilate to survive.
Yes.
That's real. And the only thing I wanted to bring up, because I also dropped it in the chat and I just wanted to mention it because y'all talked a lot about Joanna and Tracy, like tools, and y'all hinted on a lot of good contract negotiation stuff. And one thing that capitalism has taught me and street economics has taught me is get it in writing. Like, if you are a person that has culturally specific access needs for this company, one thing you can do before you walk into the building is you can, we developed this contract writer. And it's not that they're going to honor everything on this list. No shade. Like, every time it's been used, they've been like, no, ma'am. But they make concessions, and then you get to hear them verbally say, they cannot meet your access needs. It forces them to put their cards on the table. So just really encouraging more folks, especially if you fall within a margin, to like, whatever that first contract is, even if you're not negotiating salary, there's a negotiation and a conversation to be had there, period. Especially if you are living with disability or just any cultural access need, shit, whatever, you a human entering a space. I think everybody needs to be having that combo. So I just wanted to drop that tool because I love arming folks with stuff.
This and CJ, with your permission, we would love to put that link that rider back to your website, all over WTF's websites, and every, because y'all, when I saw this access rider, to me this is some of the most revolutionary work that, and like I love something that simplifies and codifies the work and like gets it into concrete stuff of like, here's me telling you what I need. And now you have to tell me if you're going to be able to meet that need or not, so that then I can make an informed decision about how I will move next. And that's just brilliant. Brilliant.
Shout out to Asia Penix, one of our founding artistic directors, for developing the idea and thesis that led to that writer being created last year.
You see, these are leaders. All right. Are y'all ready?
Also, like, generally share your contracts, share your contract language, protect people in your contracts by being like, this is what I say, because the more they see it, the harder it's for them to say no, because they're like, oh, this is what we're doing now. So yes to that. Thank you for that tool.
Tamanya is also always doing that labor. I'll send her something and she says, here, let me show you how you could fix this. And I say, thank you for that labor. You're so brilliant. Yep. Okay, folks. If you're here in our Zoom, we would love for you to camera on, mic on, and join the conversation. And we're just going to open up space for you to say the things you are burning to say, ask the things you're burning to ask. Don't be afraid. You got this. Get in here. Get in here. Yes, get in here. Get in the room. Welcome. Thank you, Tamara. Yay. Yay, we have Elizabeth. Amanda, Devin, Melanie, and Awida?
You got it. You got it.
Awida,
Great job.
welcome.
Actually, I do have a question for you, Tracy, if you don't mind. Since you've said you're sort of in the process of deciding whether or not to stay in the field, do you feel like there is anything that would convince you to stay? Like, what would keep you in the field? And like in the sort of like, if you could just get whatever you want, like what are the things that would keep you in the costume world?
I think for me, it's because I work at a university, and so my salary, while not great, is livable. For me, mainly it's the workload, right? It's the expectations of what my job as costume director currently is just really overwhelming. And it's a 2 to 3 person job. And I've been saying, for several years, it's a 2 to 3 person job, and I'm doing it all. And I think for me, that would be the big changes. And the worst part is I can't just leave and go to another costume job, because the other costume jobs are kind of the same way, right? When you read the job, because I've been looking, and when you read the job descriptions, it's like, they want you to be the shop and the designer and this and that, and they want you to work 7 days a week, and you're expected to be at all the techs and run the shop and then the salary is not, even if it's a good one, by the time you put all those hours in, like, it's crazy. And so for me, it would just be, let's be realistic about what our shows are, because I think sometimes being in costumes, we come into the process kind of late. I mean, the design is early, but like actually being on stage in production, we're one of the last ads. And I think sometimes there's this idea that like, oh, we can have all these hundreds of costumes and that'll fix the show. That'll make the show better. That'll, it's like we always joke that like costumes are going to save the show, right? Because they've put the show together and it's not great. And so the costumes will save it. And I'm not saying that happens in the UK, because we're public here. I have to be very careful that like this is not me criticizing my current job. But I think that there's a lot of that expectation. And so for me, it would just be, let's be realistic about the size shows we're doing. Let's be realistic about the size casts we're doing, right? Like, UK season, because the costume shop supports both the Department of Theater and Dance and the opera program, we do 8 shows a year. It's in 9 months. We produce 8 shows in 9 months, 9 to 10 months. And there's 3 full-time people in the costume shop, one of which is me, who also teaches. So I'm only in the shop maybe 30% of the time. So there's 2 people, essentially full-time staff, doing everything. Now we have students, but we don't have a grad program. That's a huge season, right? When you're talking about operas. So we've got 2 operas that have like 2 to 3 operas that have like 50 people in them. And they'll be like, well, we're going to do it this whole new way, and we're going to build all new costumes. And it's like, we can't. And I think there's such a disconnect. And I can only speak to costuming. There's such a disconnect in when you actually break down costumes, what the amount of clothing actually is, right? Like, someone asked me one time, how many costume pieces? And we were up close to 1,000 costume pieces in a show. And people were like, that's not true. And I'm like, well, think about it. Shirts, belts, pants. It's like these huge, 4 or 5 racks of clothes. And costume people have to touch every single one of those things at least once. So that for me, and I don't feel like that conversation is the one that's happening right now, that the expectations, I think, because we're competing against film, and this might be a whole other soapbox thing, right? But I think because we're competing against film, there's this expectation with production values that they have to be really big and really spectacular, right? We need projections, and we need this, and we need that. And that's why, like CJ was talking about, the big fancy theaters, and Tamani was talking about big fancy theaters and bigger spaces and fancier stuff. And it's like, but we're not keeping up. The labor is not being kept up. So for me, that's what it would be. It's like, okay, we're doing 8 shows a season. We can't have just 3 people doing that, building that whole show, just in terms of costumes, right? And I know without a doubt that's true in scenic and lighting and all of the technical fields. I can't speak because I don't work in the acting and directing side, but I'm sure there's similar problems there too. And I think that's, for me, would be the big thing, even more than the money, because the money reasonable if you're only expected to work 40 hours a week, but there's never an expectation of only 40 hours a week in theater. Never. Like, I rarely see it. So that for me, that's what it would be. Is because I have a family and I want to be able to see my child occasionally, before he grows up and leaves and resents me for never being around. But does that answer your question? Like, it's like, let's have a realistic conversation about scope and scale and the labor involved in that, because I think labor is wildly under supported in theater across the board, I think. So
Devin, not to put you on the spot, but I see you nodding. Would you like to enter in any way?
Yeah, I'm nodding. I think I'm like taking it all in. I know for myself, I'm finishing up my 2nd year of my grad program now. I'm currently getting my MFA in directing. And it's interesting, especially hearing Tracy specifically, her talking about academia. And just as a grad student, there's so much, ugh, a lot of yuckiness just in terms of like how to navigate those spaces as like a Black queer person. And thankfully, I have a really supportive cohort, and my directing head is this incredible lesbian woman. And so there's like a lot of, I have queer elders and also some folks of color around me, but overall, like I'm really like the only, in my direct cohort, I'm the only Black queer person. And so there's still this sense of isolation. And so I guess I'm a question I have for anyone who works either in academia or adjacent to academia, just like what are some, because I do see myself eventually wanting to teach. I'm incredibly passionate about theater education. Um, but like, baby, the building's on fire. So I'm just like, is this worth the investment? Because I also still want to freelance. I'm only 24, so like I still have so much freelancing I want to do. But yeah, I'm asking around for like tools. I personally hate giving advice, but if you have any words of wisdom or things, I would be very interested because shit is hard.
I do not currently teach full time, but I have worked in a number of academic settings, and I would say, especially in grad school, but in school in general, one of the number one tools of oppression is separating you from your community. Often you go into a city where you don't live, and you're, again, like uh, Latinx queer person, there were none in my college. There were hardly any Latinx people at all, but much less that actually specifically shared my disabled identity, shared my neurodivergent, you know what I mean? Like all shared many of my identities. So build a community, I would say, from whoever speaks to you and whoever supports you and whoever truly and really sees you, because that's one of the number one ways I have seen academia hurt people is separating from their community. And once you're separated, you're much easier to take advantage of. You're much easier to harm, and you're much easier to put in a position where they say, well, you're the only one. Shouldn't you be doing this work for us? You're the only one. Shouldn't you be telling us how to do this and getting all that free labor from you? Because, well, you're the only one. So don't you want to speak for your whole community? And so like, build your community, trust yourself. I mean, especially in grad school, I think the best advice I've ever heard from anyone is you have to know who you are going in. You have to know who you are, and you cannot let somebody else shake that because, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know, you will be shaken every day, every way, 6 ways to Sunday. So know who you are. And then I think if you want to be part of academia, create a really good support system around yourself. How do you release, who are you with, how do you care for yourself, literally have like a care regimen every time you're in an academic space, because almost every time you're in an academic space you're probably going to experience some sort of, and whether it's a microaggression or whatever, you will get very used to it. And again, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. People get and I shouldn't be telling you about yourself. People get very used to microaggressions, macroaggressions, being harmed, you know being subtly kept out of projects, being subtly kept from resources, or overtly, so I would say, like, have a care regimen for yourself that includes reminding yourself that your value is not tied to, because academia can be incredibly manipulative and incredibly pitting people against each other. And there's some people, it doesn't matter how hard you work, if you do not allow them to harm you, you will not be successful. So reshape what success means for you. Does it mean tenure? Does it mean this? Does it mean that? And what is the emotional and physical and mental cost? And is it enough? And at any point, give yourself the permission to say no. Because that's the other thing I've seen. Well, I've spent $70,000. I've spent $100,000. I took all this money out in loans. You have to be able to give yourself permission to say no, because academia can be incredibly harmful.
I agree 100% with everything Tamani just said, across the board. I think the challenge also becomes is, when you talk about like the assimilation and things like that in academia, that's sort of a given, right? And you can assimilate to a point and still recognize that it's happening, right? And I think that's when that becomes a challenge of like, it can be harmful unless you're aware of it. And I think you have to go to academia for the right reasons, right? And you have to realize that you're not going into, even if you had a really great experience in college, like, some of my students are like, oh, I just love college. I never wanted to go away from college. Even if you had a great experience as a student in college, when you come back as a professor or as an instructor or a lecturer, that's a different animal. And so I think going out and freelancing for a nice long time and really defining who you are as an artist. I was freelance and worked in the industry for 15 years before I came back to do academia. And that really helped me solidify who I was and also helped me identify where those harmful things were going to come from, right? Like and again, Facebook Live, I can't discuss it on a public thing, but there's a lot of things that I was like, oh, I saw that coming. I knew that was going to happen, right? And so I think if you can arm yourself that way too, and know going in that like you're doing it because you want to teach and you want these students to have this positive experience, you can protect yourself in some way. It's kind of like building an armor. Yes, you absolutely need a community. You need people away from academia, and you can't let academia become your whole life, which it has a tendency, especially in theatrical academia, because you spend so much time together. You're like, oh, these are my friends and my coworkers and all that. And so then all of a sudden you're completely surrounded by it all the time. And that's not great. So I don't think there's anything wrong with going into academia as a career. If that's something you want to do someday, make sure you're going into it because you want to do, and recognize that it is an old white institution. I don't care where you are. It's an old white institution. And that changing that is going to be like turning the Titanic, right? And that's going to be hard. And if you make little changes, those are good, but you can't go in expecting to like, I'm going to blow it up and it's going to be amazing. And I'm going to change the way people think, because there have been people in academia that have been there for 25 or 30 years and they are hard set and that's how they think. And it can be really challenging to go up against that. And it can be exhausting and it can hurt. And so, so that's my thing. Don't be afraid of academia. You don't run away from it, but yeah, the building's on fire, and the building, nowhere is that more true than academia, where I feel like all the buildings are on fire all the time, and you learn how to survive in that. And I think, but it can be a good, I mean, I've been teaching for 11 years, so it's not a bad world, but you have to go in for the right reasons, and you have to go in knowing all the things that Tamania said, because it's really important to recognize it for what it is, that it's not going to be this like, because a lot of times I think theater people will go into academia because it's like, oh, I'm just tired of like the gig economy and I just want a steady paycheck and I want, and if you go into it for that reason, it's going to hurt you a lot. And if you go into it for different reasons, then for the right reasons, I think it can be positive to a point. I don't want to scare you away.
And not to be the bearer of more bad news, but the freelance directing world is also fraught with similar landmines and also power structures where you're brought in to be like, you're a director, you have power. Just kidding, you don't. We have all the power, and we've just put you in this very painful, tense place to take all the shrapnel for us. So like, yeah, you're asking the good questions and finding your people. And like, I don't know, do you know CJ? Because like people like CJ are and the
Jay is my auntie. That's my auntie.
because like y'all, CJ is having revolutionary ideas about like how where the money's coming from, that like that's where we have to get to. We gotta go get the source of the money, and we gotta like do it in like sweeping big ways, not for CJ. Can I quote you and say no more project grants? That where's the sweeping money for the brilliant folks like us? And that's it. Cohorts. Okay.
And also just one more thing to drop in. I think though, Devin, absolutely, academic spaces need people like you to teach the student even just what to ask for, because they will not even have been taught what is possible. And I think you people who want to be bigger than academia can greatly change their worldview and how they will treat so many artists after them. So like, again, I said all those really tough things, but like, care for yourself and go out and change these babies' lives, because they are so young and they will impact so many other artists. And if you can be with them in that very formative moment and make their span bigger, you can make the difference in so many. Again, just telling them what to ask for, telling them what to look for, telling them how to trust themselves.
Thank you.
Telling them how to advocate for themselves, for other people. It's a big lift.
Just
Uh,
But it's
uplifting all
yeah,
it
that.
can be incredibly rewarding. One little moment.
No, I'm just uplifting all that, Devin, because we talk all the time. But something that's coming up for me is like we talk about at BBRTC decolonizing theater as like this vision and ultimate thing. And I think like when I think about what it's going to take to do that, like we're also going to have to decolonize theater education, which means like we're going to need folks in the education space that like are superintendents and directors at the board level and things like that. And like also like politics, like educational reform is going to come with like we need some theater folks in the government, but everybody want to go be on Broadway and kick and spin when I'm like, girl, you need to be going trying to get Kay Ivey out of office with all this charisma you got. But you want to go kick and spin and play in Hamilton. Okay. You know, like we're gonna need a bunch of different folks in order to end this beast. So just echoing, and I literally like I be calling Devin my elder. Like the things that come out of Devin's mouth, like they need you in that education academic space very specifically because you know how to meet them on their level in a very nasty and particular way, and I love it.
That's that's such a great place to like kind of wrap up with our public audience. We're gonna have a few moments together just in our Zoom. And so if you're watching this on the stream, first I want to thank you for participating this way. And if you want to get involved and like get in the room and get in the conversations, there's 6 more weeks of these. You can just register through Eventbrite. It is free to attend here in the Zoom. It's free to attend out there in the world. I want to, before I thank our panelists one more time and give them a chance to plug stuff, just remember WTF is offering several workshops this spring, and we're offering them at various pricing tiers. And if the pricing tiers are not accessible to you personally, you can just reach me any way you want to reach me, info@womenstheaterfestival.com, Johanna at womenstheaterfestival.com on any of our socials. You tell me the scholarship you need and we will have it for you. Full scholarships, everything's on the table. You just ask for what you need and you will get it. And so we're going to be doing more workshops on this Saturday, producing your values, how to like really turn mission, vision, and value statements into revolutionary budgets and documents that move your organization forward. We're going to have a grant writing series that I'm hoping CJ will want to come and teach with me, because I just learned half of what I now know on grant writing from CJ. And some more of Spooky Tarot Play Club starts on Friday. It's going to be an 8-week late night playwriting group with our very own Fly Jamerson. Their play, Frozen Fluid, an Antarctic gender creation myth, recently received its world premiere in Los Angeles. And so each week, the writing in the play group will be guided by a tarot pull. In the 7th week, we'll have some guest playwrights to give feedback. And in the 8th week, there will be a public reading. So we got a lot of those types of things. Check it out. And now over to you, panelists. First, thank you so much for everything you brought to the room. Thank you to our in-room community. Is there anything you all want to plug or uplift before we turn off the recording?
I'll just go ahead and plug, you know,
Do it.
Birmingham Black Repertory Theater Collective. I'm gonna drop it in the chat. We have a youth leadership development cohort this summer where we're going to do leadership building, capacity building, and artistic development for 5 to 6 young individuals via Zoom in a situation very similar to the programming that y'all have got going on. I dropped the links in the chat though. Just also hit us up at Birmingham Black Repertory Theater Collective because we be doing stuff.
Yeah. Tamanya, any good plugs?
Sorry, I was just getting the link so I could drop it. First, again, I know Johanna because of the Parent Advocacy League. So we have chapters across the country. We are a shared leadership organization with 4 leaders: Carly Cornelia Jones, Adriana Gaviria, Rachel Junquera, Spencer Hewitt, and myself. And look to us and work with us, and learn about the new standard of care, which teaches you how to make space for caregivers, because all of us will either give care or receive care. But also right now, I am with PAL working with another shared collective leadership group, the Power Street Theater Company, for a childcare matinee coming up for their new Latinx authored Siluetas by Arlena Ortiz and Rogue Hager. So yeah, I'm gonna drop that link in. And I was just doing a live stream with them because we're having a childcare matinee. So if you'd like to donate, great. If you'd like to hold a childcare matinee, we know all the ifs, ands, or buts with Broadway babysitters. So that's the thing.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna speak in draft as I talk myself through ending